Alright guys, what we have here is one of these cheap blister pack walkie-talkies. You can see it's on, but unfortunately it's got problems. Frequency counter, and I mashed the button. Don't know if that's visible. You see the little LCD in there. Anyway, no output on the frequency counter. I do have the frequencies in here. I know it's not legal, but there's the frequency. It's this one. It's turned up. No output. Light's not blinking. Again, no audio or nothing. So what we're going to do is just tear this radio down. It's no good. It works, but you know, there's no output and no receive. So all it does is power on. So the microprocessor's coming up. So we'll get these batteries out of it. Get back in the flashlight. This is an FRS. In the United States, FRS is split into two bands, and in the middle of the General Mobile Radio Service band, a 462.5625 and on to, down to 462.7125, and that is channel 1, that will be channel 7. These are 25 kilohertz spaced, because at 12.5, between channels 1 and 2 are 25 kilohertz. Now in between channels 1 and 2, or essentially above this channel 1, would be 462.5500, and there would also be 462.575, and these two are GMRS, and they are 25 kilohertz spaced. So yeah, they are FRS is 12.5 kilohertz away from a GMRS channel, and the GMRS and FRS are 25 kilohertz apart from each one in their respected allocation, if that makes any sense. Channels 8 through 14, not 41, 14, it's 467.565, and if radio operators, hams, commercial technicians, this looks like a repeater input. In the GMRS section of this band, they are repeater inputs, but in FRS they are simplex. Also, I think a GMRS license covers into these 8 through 14 for higher power. That's why some of these radios have a high-low power setting. One of these cheaper ones now at 467.7125. So you'll have the same thing here, 467.575, 467.725, and these would be GMRS repeater, and that one and that one. And then these would be FRS, no license under 500 milliwatts. Anything over 500 milliwatts on this frequency or any of these others require a GMRS license. and you're allowed, I think, up to 5 watts on those. Or, I don't know, maybe it's 50. I can't remember exactly what it is. I know you got to have a license to operate GMRS for higher power. So if you don't have a GMRS license, you got one of these that has a high-low power setting on it, it's probably best you don't ever use that, just to stay in the clear. So we're going to get to the meat of the video now and get this thing apart, if it's possible. Phillips heads. This is not going to be put back together. It's going into the junk bin, because like you saw, it doesn't transmit. Don't know if it receives. There's no audio, there's no beeping, there's no squelch, there's all it is the LCD comes on and that's it. The PTT activates, but it's not transmitting any power, not even residual from the exciter, or the VCO rather. The frequency counter is not picking it up, and that stud broke there. That one's probably broken too. We're gonna get this thing apart now. Don't expect a schematic of this. Wow, broke the end of the screw off. Amazing. You know, my own strength. Knob, bucket back there. The antenna on these do not come off, of course. And we'll open it. Got to turn on the iron for solder. It's got some battery case. Actually, this battery case could be used again. I do have the belt clip that goes on this, so this could be used again. This battery case, and I've got the soldering iron on. And we're looking into it, and this is what I've got so far, what I'm seeing. Here's your monitor, push to talk. Okay, this section right up here is your VCO and your RF circuitry. This down here is your micro P. We have an async there. Dedicated chip probably for this thing that will hold all the frequency information. That sends it up to the VCO. Actually, the voltages vary and changes the channel's frequencies by voltage steps. Voltage controlled oscillator is what that means. You have 20 megahertz crystal there that is probably parting case for that for stability. You also have another little crystal holder there and a clock crystal there. 465C. That's there's a header here for something, probably an accessory. So, waiting for this to heat up so I can solder tailing ones. I don't like to cut these. I mean, I could cut them, but this is definitely your RF section. There's your on-off volume right here. This can be salvaged because better commercial radios use this type. This here's your PLL filter. Usually if radios drift off frequency or the audio gets bad in the receiver, you would change out this little black box. If the squelch gets stuck open, you know, in commercial radios, the little light's blinking all the time, or green or whatever. Normally you change out this filter and this will clear that up. These are, I'm not sure, these are part of the VCO, probably more than likely for stability purposes. Like I said, this microprocessor works in steps. You have 14 channels, meaning you have 14 steps in here. This system with frequency multiplication, this thing changes its steps every 25 kilohertz. So whatever voltage variable is needed for 25 kilohertz steps sends it to the VCO, and that's what changes your channels when you up and down. That's VCO. In ham radio, they have what's called a VFO, variable frequency oscillator, which has an analog or rotary, or digital rather rotary, that, you know, it turn it on the front of the radio, kind of like a tuning dial, and it does the same thing in steps that you program on a keypad or in a menu. Same deal. So I'm going to get these wires off of here. This battery case. Since I do have the back, and it does lock, and I do have that. That's 6 volts, AAA's that can go in there. Put that in my plastic case bin there, and we'll get on into this radio. All right. Now I'm not 100% certain how this is gonna all come apart. I have my suspicions though. Yeah, there's a screw right there. There's a screw. Yeah, I broke the head right off the screw. That case screw. I have a coffee cup up here full of screws and nuts and bolts that. Alright, this is going to come out like so. Oh, here we go. I'm going to solder the speaker. This is not worth repairing, by the way. This is like when the physical condition is not very attractive, and two, these things are a dime a dozen. So there's our little speaker. There's our window. She's seen better days, hasn't she? Recycle. Speaker, I'll get that out of there. Put that over in the parts box with that. Buttons over there. Rubber box. Okay. Now, these are non-removable antenna. If I stretch this out, it will probably be about 6 inches long, which is correct for UHF band. Here's our little, little condenser mic. Get that off. Put this in the parts again as well. Actually, I'll put that in that cup since it's small. Get these hookup wires off. And we'll get the antenna off if I can. Not sure. Oh, there we go. Yeah, if I was to stretch this out, it would probably be about 6 inches long. Not that long, which is correct for UHF, 462 megahertz, 467. It goes in there. Actually, reuse that maybe. No, we'll see. Now, separation of the RF section from the computer section. First off, you got some hot snot right there. It's definitely connected. Function, enter, channel up, channel down, call, and lock. I don't think that it was locked. Yeah, it's well, she's built kind of well for what it is. I don't know what else I could get out of here. May have to get destructive. May need to get destructive with it. Not sure yet. I don't like getting destructive with these types of things because it can end very badly. good. It does plug in, so I just got to release it from its soldered prison. It's like soldered right there. I don't have my desoldering station with me today. Oh well. Go this way. I'll wedge it out probably. There we go. Release the VCO from its prison like so. Yeah, there's the TCXO. PLL circuitry. Nicked my phone there. And this is a TCXO, 12.8 megahertz. That, what is that? So this is a PLL circuit in here with this too. This is the entire RF circuit. I'm going to assume that that transistor is the RF output transistor. All your coils. Yeah, that's TCXO, RF section under there. Plug it right in. This is what holds all the frequency stabilization, you know, what makes the UHF frequency. This here is your PROM. You know, you got your microprocessor, that's part of the EEPROM here. You got some logic, your 3.58 stabilization oscillator. Up here is probably a 386, your audio section, that's probably a 386 audio amp there. Yep, LM386, mic, speaker, volume control, that's your audio section. Other fancy there. This microprocessor also drives the, actually, that right there may be your LCD driver, actual driver, that. You got your pots here, push to talk, all your logic is being done. So logic board's what they call it, and this is your RF board. This is where the RF is made and sent to the antenna. This is also where it's, excuse me, I'm falling out of my chair. This is also where the RF is received and processed into audio frequency so you can hear it. This is also where the CTCSS and DCS or DPL-PL is brought in, but that is decoded here, and it's more than likely decoded with one of these circuits here, and that would be what these pots are for. This does all the magic, and then this header here is more than likely a test header for the RF section itself for checking the power or the receiver sensitivity. So this is the actual radio right here, this. And that chip has a this little package here, 1, 2, 16-pin package right here. It's got a number of 31202. I'm not sure if that is the actual EEPROM that holds some of the information or what that is. These things, some of them are generic, they change. You can look it up on your own. You know, you want a lesson in radio, there it is. These crystals are part of the filtering and PLL circuits. Okay, like I said, for stabilization. And seeing that that clock crystal is there, which is starting to lead me to believe that this is another either EEPROM or processing that supports this TCXO, 12.8 megahertz. There is a little varicap on this VCO, and that is to lock the PLL. The PLL, you know, is used to lock the frequency so it doesn't drift, you know, high or low or whichever the receiver or transmitter. And you know, this header could be for test points. Put a voltmeter on these and tune the VCO until you hit a certain voltage. When the voltage is right, it'd be locked. I'm not sure. I don't have a schematic on this, and these things are made, mass produced. You know, it's hard to it's hard to figure it out. So yeah, fuck it. Faces all on the camera. I don't care. I have nothing to hide. Fuck it. Yeah, it's interesting. These things, they're made. I don't even think they make them like this anymore. I mean, I think they're all just one piece now, and it's just. There you can see it plugged in right there, and all the traces are going, you know, back side, front side, different areas. Not much to it. Not much to it at all. So maybe some of this was helpful. I don't know. I don't see an RF adjustment. No, wait, there's something here. That could be modulation. Or deviation, rather. I'll put there deviation. This is your IF right here. There's no power, like transmit power adjustment pot or anything. It's all done more than likely the cheap way with coils, and you gotta, you know, split them apart or mash them together, or have a certain amount of winding on them, or just break it completely off of the circuit board like I did. I would imagine that's kind of how it's done. You just split them apart or put them together. You know, it's like your cheap CB radios were. Yeah, maybe this was helpful. A little education lesson for you, at least on how these channels are lined out. They're in between the main GMRS channels. So you would have GMRS channel 1. Do this way. You get a quick another lesson on this and clarify it for you. Okay, so you have GMRS 462.550, 462.570. I'm not going to list them all, just these right here. Right. Between 1 and this is 2. Now we have FRS 1. And 2. That's 575, excuse me. 875. There we go. Now you see how it's fallen into place. Between here and here is 25 hertz. Between here and here is 25. Making sense? Between here and here is 25. Maybe that makes a little more sense how the channels are laid out. And the same thing happens down here with channels 8 through 14. It's the same way down here, except GMRS has Yeah, they have the same amount, 16 and 4. There's some differences here and there. I think GMRS has possession of all the high FRS channels, like 8 through 14, okay, under 1/2 watt, no license. 8 through 14, license required for over 1/2 watts. That's basically it, and this is for the FRS portion of the band. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if you have a radio with the high-low power or power boost or range boost or whatever it's called, whatever marketing gimmick they market them under, if you do not have a legal GMRS license in the United States, you are technically not allowed to use the higher power on 8 to 14, and you're not allowed to use any of the frequencies above 14, like 1422, like a lot of them have. Those would start picking up with the regular GMRS channels, which do require a license, unfortunately. You really should not use those if you don't have a license, just to keep things legal. I mean, I can't tell you what you can and can't do. You're going to do what you want to do, and that's your business. All I can do is advise you how to keep it legal for you and your family. Because in the real world, there are people that are anal retentive about this. You know, there'll be licensed GMRS operators that have repeaters that monitor this stuff for that. They have nothing else better to do with their time than to turn people in. There are amateur radio operators that will do the same thing. You know, and another thing about FRS is it is licensed by rule. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure what all these drawings are. Looking on some other stuff. They are licensed by rule. That means 1 through 14, no license. Under 1/2 watt. Under 1/2 watt with an approved radio. And approved radios have non-removable antennas. You can't program them. They don't have telephone pads. Any of that stuff made by Bofeng or Ocean or HYT, TYT, any of those Chinese radios, Kenwood and all that are not FRS approved radios. They're not GMRS approved radios, to be honest. Most of them are Part 90 commercial, and all of them are classified as ham radios. Those cheap things should not be used here. License by rule means is that no one has priority on any channel okay, except the exception equals 911. Emergency traffic. If somebody is dying, okay, exception is emergency. When I say no one, that means no one. Okay, that does not mean you and your family are the sole owners of that channel in that area. That doesn't mean that Paul Blart Mall Cop and his group of rent-a-cop cronies have priority on this channel. That doesn't mean that the Walmart rent-a-cops have the right to run you off this channel. No one has the right to force you off of a channel. They can ask you to politely to leave, whatever. And it's up to you if you want to. No one owns these channels. Only emergencies. Okay? And when I say emergencies, natural disasters, someone is fucking dying, tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, fires, whatever. Real emergencies. Shoplifting at Walmart and security at Walmart and shoplifting is not an emergency. Okay? That doesn't classify as a emergency that warrants priority traffic only. And to be quite fair, places like Walmart probably shouldn't be using these anyway. They should have their own FCC license and commercial frequency. Though, and that's in a perfect world. But in this world, they use whatever they can cheap out and buy. And I've noticed them using Motorola CP200s or whatever them thing the new ones are. CP200s, things like that with FRS, which is, they're wrong in their part, and those are not FRS radios by any means. One, they're way overpowered, 4 watts or 1 watt minimum. 2, the antenna's removable. 3, they're reprogrammable. Yeah, they're not legal if they're using those. Even some of the other things that they have that I've seen them use. But yeah, and that goes for any you're not going to see your police department. And you know what, even police officers that volunteer security for events will use these radios. Even they don't have priority unless there is a legit emergency. But if there's a legit emergency, they're not going to use these channels exclusive. They're going to use their police radio if they have it with them. So yeah, license by rule means no one owns a channel. You have to share it. You have to be respectable of other users. The common sense rules, if you would. The common sense rules. Be nice, be courteous. Don't talk over each other. And that includes in FRS, you're courteous. Don't talk over each other, and that includes the call button. Okay, I know a lot of kids like the call button, and that I think is the worst thing they could have ever done to these radios, is put that call button on there, because if you tune it in sometimes around neighborhoods, that's why you hear kids mashing these buttons, call buttons, and you can hear it, and it's gets annoying. I know it's the call, but you're not really calling anybody. You're just transmitting a tone over. It would have been different if you could program like if these things were digital, where you could target a specific radio or do 2-tone paging or something for a specific radio to open the squelch and call somebody. But then again, we have cell phones for that now. So with that, this video has gone on long enough, trying to educate people in the use of FRS radios and taking them apart. Just remember this right here, and this holds true, for GMRS. Even if you have a license, you have 8 channels plus your inputs, 16 total, I believe. License by rule, guys. Same way with the Citizens Band 11 meter, the 40 channel trucker radios in the US. Same thing. GMRS, MERS, Marine Band, 49 megahertz. License by rules, guys. And I believe even the ISM band, the 900 megahertz sliver ISM that they use mostly for data. You very rarely hear any voice traffic, and if it is digital. License by rule, and that's basically all you got to remain. No one has priority over any channel. It means no one owns a channel, with the exception of real emergencies. okay? Real emergencies. Like I said, someone shoplifting in the shopping mall is not an emergency, okay? You know, a disturbance at the elementary school, you know, the classrooms or whatever may or may not be a disturbance, I don't know, but whatever. Places like schools really shouldn't be using these anyway. They should have their own thing issued out by the school board and whatnot like to do here. But shoplifting is not an emergency, okay? Person in the wrong restroom is not an emergency. Those are just things that security needs to deal with, you know, without taking control of stuff, you know, checking the locks on doors and property and doing patrols are not emergencies. So don't be fooled, you know, if you're in your family out using the radios and a security guard says such and such, don't be intimidated by them. They don't own these channels that you're using. You don't own these channels that you're using. And you can easily just be respectful of their working environment and what they're doing. If they're courteous enough to ask you to please leave, try to abide by that, just so you don't start anything. It's easier, even though they're in the wrong, just to stop them. Just have everybody go to channel 2 or something, whatever. And with that, this video is going on 40 minutes of bullshit, and I'm going to let you go, and I will see you guys in the next video.